Hello everyone, welcome back to JD Bots. This is the bot series on Enterprise Chatbot. So, in our last video, we had seen the regex recognizer, and in this video, we'll continue implementing further about the timesheet tracker for employees. You must be wondering that why haven't I started with the Q&A maker? There is a reason about it. Since Microsoft has moved the Q&A maker functionality to custom question and answering on the Language Studio portal. So, still, Microsoft has not released the libraries or client libraries for the adaptive dialog. So, even the bot framework composer is not updated with regard to the custom question and answering, right? So, that is the reason. So, as of today, but maybe in the future they will be releasing because even the composer has to be updated because most of the organizations rely on the bot framework composer and they use Q&A maker extensively. So what we can do, we can just park our Q&A maker service for now and then we'll come back later. But as of now in our implementation, we are not using it. I'll go to the GitHub repository and I'll better go to my personal GitHub repository because I need to get some code for the waterfall dialog. And let's go to the official bot builder sample repository instead of going to mine. And in this case, I'll be going to the sample that is core bot sample. And this is the one. So basically this core bot sample is just a flight booking chatbot. And this is a perfect example of using the waterfall dialog steps. So I'll be just copying the syntax of it, just the constructor, so that I don't have to create it from scratch. Yeah. So what I'll do, I'll just copy the constructor along with few properties. And I'll go to our class that we had created, that is time tracker dialog. And I'll be just replacing it here. And I need to rename it. So this is not a main dialog. This is the time tracker dialog. All right. And since we are not using this flight booking recognizer, I'll just remove it. And also we are not using few other things. Let's remove everything for now. Let's keep it blank. And let's remove this as well. Let's comment this out so that we'll be keeping this as a reference for future. So this particular dialog, time tracker dialog, is being called from the root dialog. And that is so the earlier we had created this menu intent and that is trigger menu intent. And here we were starting the time tracker dialog. So what I'll do, I'll check the root dialog constructor and see what all properties I can send it to that time tracker dialog for me to use. Okay, the most important is configuration, so that I can access the app settings properties directly from my configuration, right? So I can copy this, and I can also copy the telemetry client so that even I get the analytics for my time tracker dialog. So let me copy these two properties, two parameters, and paste it in the constructor of our time tracker dialog. And also I need to create the property for the configuration. Okay. Next we have the telemetry client. So we need to initialize these two. Let's remove the logger for now. All right. And also I need to make sure that I pass those two properties here. So here you see the configuration has been passed, and also I need to pass the telemetry client. So instead of that, let me just send the telemetry client, right? Okay, perfect. And let's see, yeah, we have a one reference. That means that call was success, right? And now we need to create few waterfall dialog steps so that we can start implementing our logic. But before that, we have to design our logic. For that, what I'll do, I have opened the whiteboard and I'm just going to create few things like how our conversation will be done in the time tracker sheet, right? So how it will look like. So first thing first, initially, when the start of the dialog, we present the user the two options, that is two buttons. Just ignore my drawing because I'm just using the mouse. Okay, so two buttons. So first option will be time in and the second option will be time out. All right. So we show these two buttons to the user. User clicks on one of the button and we get the current time of the user's location. Like we get the current time of the user. Basically we get the current time of the system. Yeah. So after this, we simply feed the data to database. And in this case, I'm going to use, let's say, let's use Microsoft List. Yeah, because that is the most affordable option I can think of. Okay, because I don't want to store this data into a database and incur few charges. And I can store this data in Azure SQL. I'm just giving few example where I can store this data. I can show in Azure SQL database, basically any SQL database. I can store in Dataverse, that is the database provided by Microsoft Power Platform. Dataverse. I can store it in SharePoint list. So these are the few locations. You can either store in anywhere, actually Oracle DB, NoSQL DB, it's up to you. So I'll be storing my data in SharePoint list. Okay. And how about how I can store the data in SharePoint list? So for that, I'll be creating a Power Automate flow. So that's the background of it. I'll be creating a Power Automate flow that will take the input that I send to that flow, such as the time in location, such as the time in, the user's name, and any other details about the user, its email address and all. So all these details, I'll be taking it from the chatbot channel, sending it to Power Automate. Power Automate will run the flow and store the details in a SharePoint list, right? So this is the flow that will be happening. Okay, right. So now let's create a SharePoint list before creating the Power Automate flow. Okay, since we know our flow, what I can do, I can just write the steps so that we'll have a better understanding. Okay, so intro step, that is the event step that we will be performing. Next, store event step, and we will have a final step. Let us go ahead and create the methods out of these steps. So why I'm starting from bottom to top? Because when I create methods, it will come up top instead of going down. So that is easy for me to arrange my code. Then event step, perfect. So I have event step, store event step, and final step. I can create a adaptive card to show the two buttons, or I can use our existing, that is suggested dialogues, right? So in that case, what I'll do, let me go and check the suggested actions. This is a piece of code, and so let's see how we can send it. Let's see. Let me copy these details and paste it in our time tracker dialog. That is the first step. Yeah. Okay. So hi, and since we have already greeted the user, we don't want to greet again. And please select your event. And in this case, I will have two events, that is time in and time out. Even the values is time in and time out. Then I can also have another button, that is cancel, in case user wants to cancel, right? And this will be step context. Okay, perfect. So saying, yeah, so we need to send this particular message. How about sending? So I'll go there and just copy these two statements and paste it here. Okay. All right. So this is the most important part when you continue the dialogue. So let's see whether it will be coming up here in this place or it will go somewhere else, right? But in the waterfall dialog context, we don't want to continue it. We want the user to click on that action. Yeah. Okay, let's see both the scenarios, right? So in the next step, what I'll just give a statement, await step context dot send context dot send activity in the wait a second, let me just message factory dot text in the store event step. All right, and here I'll just end the dialog for now. Let's pass null. Okay, so let me put a breakpoint here and let's keep the breakpoint here and let's keep the breakpoint somewhere else as well. That is, since this will be return await after menu item, let's see what else we have to do. I'll come up here and I'll give a new just a test statement. Trigger menu intent completed. I just want to find it out and show you like what exactly is being executed, right? Okay, so we have given two statements. One is in the next step of our waterfall dialog and one is after executing the dialog. So we need to make sure that both of them are executed and this particular waterfall dialog step is executed first. If we don't see this one and we just see this one, that means we have to make few changes. Yeah, so let's see. Let me start debugging. I have started the debugging and let's see how it is behaving. Okay, let's see how it is behaving. Let me say hi to the bot. Okay, so it is coming inside the rejects recognizer. I don't want that and let me continue. Okay, perfect. Since we have not implemented anything for hi, hello, so let's go ahead and say home. Okay, so I'll click on time tracker and it is coming inside. Okay, this place, perfect. Let me just remove the breakpoint and continue. See, so it is directly coming here and showing me this message. It's not waiting there for me to enter my details, right? Here you see, please select your event and it did not show me the options, right? For that, what I can do, I'll have to send a empty text prompt in order to stop and just wait for the user to reply back. So, so let's say step context dot prompt async name of, and that will be a text prompt, and prompt options. So I forgot the syntax. So what I will do, let's see whether I remember it or not. Let me just go to my some of the repository and just copy it from there. Okay. So new prompt options, and it will be a empty prompt and cancellation token. That's all. So we are sending an empty prompt so that it will wait for the user for the reply, and then it will continue up here. Basically it will not come here, right? It has to go to the first root dialog triggers and then it will come back here. So that we'll be checking it now. So let's go to our enterprise chatbot and let's say home. Okay, time tracker. Please select your event. Okay, now it is waiting for me to respond. So let's say I'll select time in. Okay, that's a good thing. It is coming up here. That's a very good thing. I was not expecting that because during adaptive card showing and when user clicks on submit or something, then it goes first to the root dialog and then come back here. So this is a very good thing. So I'll just check the value that is returned. So here it is the time in. We got the value. So that is good, and let's continue. And it will end the dialog and it will just end the trigger intent. Perfect. Now let's modify our source code. So let's do. Okay, we know that okay it has come to this part. So let's put a condition over here. So string event name await. So it's not an await. So step context dot activity dot text. So my value will be coming up here, and let's put a switch statement and switch on event name. So my first event is time in, and I'll do something up here. My second event is timeout, and I'll do something up here. And my last event is, let's say, default event. So I don't have to give a condition because there will not be any. Yes, there will be any. We haven't tested that scenario, right? So if suppose user types something on the screen, then what will happen? So let's test that scenario. Okay, let me give a breakpoint up here, and yeah, let's see what will happen. Yep. So what I'll do, I'll just type home, because this is very important during designing and developing our chatbot. If suppose user types something else instead of just clicking on those button, what will happen? So we'll see now. So for now, let's go to time tracker and let's see during the event of showing this three option, I'll say hi to the bot. See here. So it is coming here and it is storing this value, right? So in such case, what we have to do, and of course that will be coming up here in the default, and await step context dot send activity factory dot text invalid input provided, canceling. Yeah. Okay. And also we need to cancel all the dialogues, right? So this is the thing that we have to do. Okay. Now let's do it for the time in. And also, yeah, not only for cancel, we have to do something for cancel as well, right? It's the same thing, cancel all dialog. So I'll just say, let me just copy these two statements and paste it here. And we have to show a different message, just the canceling. Canceling, and that's all. Yeah. Okay. And in this case, we have to, okay, let's cancel all the dialog. Let's not end it. We can also end the dialog, or let's cancel all the dialog. That will be better. Yeah. Okay. Let's test this scenario. I can also type instead of just selecting that. Okay. Perfect. Oh, sorry. I was about to test that cancel scenario, right? And what if user types in a lowercase? That also we need to handle. Let's say I'll just say hi, and it should reply me invalid input provided, canceling, right? So that's all. Okay. So what if user types in a small case? What we have to do in that case? So dot to lower. So whatever is the input, I am just making it in lowercase, and my case statements will all be in lowercase. Yeah. So whatever that I have got the user's input, I am making them in lowercase, and also I am making my conditions in lowercase. The same is valid for this case as well, our menu intent. Okay, perfect. Now let's do one thing. Let's create a SharePoint list and let's start. doing few things. I'll go to my SharePoint portal. Let's create a new site, and that will be a team site. Okay, and let's make it private. And okay, next. Let me add few employees so that let's finish now. Let us add at a later stage. Okay, now I'll go to site contents and click on new list, and I'll be selecting a template. Let's see. Let's not select a template. Let me create it from the scratch, and my list name is employee timesheet. Okay, perfect. Now we have a title. Let's add few columns, and this will be it has to be a person actually. What I'll do, let me add a single line of text and username. We need to find it out what's the event that has occurred. Event name, either it can be time in or time out, right? And also uh, the date time, event date time. So when exactly the user has triggered that event, right? Okay, so these are the few things that I am collecting. The title will be a unique property, so let me make it ID. Okay, okay, ID is already existing. Let's keep it title itself. Okay, so basically I'll be concatenating few things in the title and making it as a unique string. Okay, username or email. Let's make it a email. Okay, let's keep it username itself. Okay, so since I have created a SharePoint list, now I can create a flow. Okay, I'll click on create, and it has to be a instant cloud flow. Basically it's not instant, it will be automated cloud flow, but I'll be just creating an instant cloud flow and then modifying our trigger. And the name of our flow is enterprise chatbot time tracker. So I'll create this flow. Okay, now in this case what I am going to do, I am going to delete this trigger, and the trigger will be an API call, that is the post request. So I'll just type request, and when an HTTP request is received, basically I'll be calling this flow using an API. Yeah, and the request body or JSON schema, I'll be generating it from a sample, and the sample I'll be generating right here. So few things: username, and I'm giving a sample value, What was our event name? I'm just giving few sample values. Then event name, date, event date time, some date. Then we have a title will be generating in the flow itself, or even the event date time also we can generate it from the flow, but let us get it from the chatbot. Okay, so I think this details will be sufficient for now. If at all any details are required, we can add it later. Okay, so from the sample that I have given, it has generated a schema that is username will be of type string, event name will be of type string, and event date time is of type string. Yeah, so the next step is the list. What will be, let me select the SharePoint, and here I'll select create items, this one, and I'll be selecting my site address. Okay, still it has not been reflected up here. Okay, that is all right. So what I'll do, let me enter a custom value so that it gets recognized my site. Since this is a new site, let me enter the site name. Hope this will be recognized. And the list name, yes, that is got recognized, and I'll selecting the list name. And here automatically the profiles that are present in my list will be reflected up here, and the title is a unique property that I'll be just making it like this: username dash event name dash and the event date time. Yeah, that I'm concatenating it and I'm making a unique string. So username I have it, event name also I have it, and date time is also present. Yeah, perfect. Now I have few details. Okay, now when a user has entered, like came to office, the admin has to know that okay, user has come to the office, and admin has to find it out like okay, what I can do, I'll just go to the teams. I'll select the Microsoft Teams connector and I'll send a message to the admin. So, where is the send message? Post a message in a chat or channel. So this I'll doing. So let's send it from the flow bot itself. Basically, that's a bot that will be sending a message and post in chat with flow chat. Yeah, I want to get the message as an individual user. Yeah, even if you have a list of admins that are present in a channel or in a group chat, you can send it to them as well. So I'll be selecting the recipient as myself, and the message that I'll be select using is, so username. Okay, let me send the same title, username, time in, and the event date time. That will be perfect message to send. Yeah, perfect. So when I click on save, what it will do, it will generate a URL for me, or HTTP post URL. so that I can call this URL, pass this data, and this flow will be triggered. Yeah. So the flow is not yet completed. I'll go to next step. So I'll just have to send a response back to the chatbot. So response, and since this flow is succeeded, that is status code 200. So let's make it 201. That is the status code for created. And headers, we don't want to send anything. Let's send the body, and it will be HTTP body. So message use time in successful. This is the message that I am going to send. Perfect. Now, if at all there is a failure, what will happen? So there is a thing called here settings. Uh, settings. So not settings. Let me just go to here. Configure run after. It will only run when it is successful. It will not run when has failed, skipped or timed out. Yeah. So I'll create a parallel branch, and here I'll just copy this response and paste it here. I'll have another response now, and it will be a failure response. Let's say internal server error 500. Okay, so it can be time in, time out. So that message has to be changed. So I'll just make it a dynamic message. Event name failed, right? And this has to be event name successful. Event name successful and event name failed. Okay, perfect. And I'll configure run after. This only has to run when it is failed, skipped or timed out. Okay, perfect. Our flow is completed. And now in the next video, we will see how to call this particular flow from our chatbot. We have already done this in the past in our, I think one of the, let me show you that. Let me just remove this thing. Okay. So we have already done this in the past. Call power automate flow from C#. You can also write Postman, and this is our blog that I have written. And if you want to see a video as well, we have a video as well for this. Basically, in this case, we are sending an OTP as a part of e-commerce chatbot. If you want to see this video as well, you can see, right? So basically, this is done from a console application, and we also will be performing the same actions in our chatbot, right? And so this is a homework for you all, because I'll be doing in the backend since we have done this, and this is a similar flow that I have created. See here. So what I'll be doing, this I'll be not be doing it on the screen. I'll be doing in the background. So this, you can follow this blog and just, yeah, send the message. And where exactly you have to call, you have to call it from here in the timing. You need to call that API method and just send it out. That's in homework for you. Yeah, see you all.